Shit. Gotta go for the goal, yeah, we gotta win. All heart and the soul, yeah, we putting in the trenches with the brothers, gotta play to win. One more play, then we in the ship. One more game, we gon' get a win. Fight through pain, I can never quit. One more play, then we in the ship. One more play, then we in the ship. Gotta go for the goal, yeah, we gotta win. All heart and the soul, yeah, we putting in the trenches with the brothers, gotta play to win. One more play, then we in the ship. One more game, we gon' get a win. Fight through pain, I can never quit. One more play, then we in the ship. One more play, then we in the shit. From the goal
For sure, but we appreciate you driving out here and sitting down with us, man. I always think about, like what we're doing with Status, and whenever you reached out to us, and like the conversation that everybody always talks about is, whenever you're starting something, don't look for people that are family and friends to support it initially, right? Mm-hmm. It's usually going to be people that you don't know that are going to support you more than the people that you expect to support you, and that's exactly what happened with this relationship, right? Mm-hmm. We met you, and we had coffee, and we talked about Status, and I don't know if you missed an event since we talked about it, man.
I didn't think so.
So I just want to take that time to thank you for reaching out and like being in our corner for everything that we've been doing so far.
Honestly, man, it's there are so many people that talk, and then there are so many people that do. And when we met, we had a talk, but I saw that you guys were going to do. Right. And, that immediately resonated with me because I do a lot of talking, but I also do a lot myself. Mm-hmm. So to have people that are in the sports community that care about other people, the success of other people, that was something that I immediately just wanted to grab onto and learn from you guys as well. Because there's probably things that you're doing in the community that, I could learn a lot from. And, it's been a blessing to really just kind of watch you guys and see what joy that you can bring to the community and to the kids.
Yeah, and it's dope because he jumped on with us, before we even did anything, right? Everything that we talked about was just a thought in our head. Like, this is something that we're thinking about doing. Mm-hmm. And you believed, and he was like, whatever you guys need, let me know. Mm-hmm. And
it'll always be like that.
Yeah, and we appreciate that. Because you don't find too many people that are
genuine love,
that are genuinely interested and invested, so we appreciate that, man.
Yeah, but people always have their own, agenda.
Right.
I ain't gonna lie, whenever me and Dana met, we was like,
what you think?
What you think, Alex is up
went
to?
on, it was like, it's just pure love, like, just pure, genuine love.
Yeah. You don't really know after the first conversation.
Right, no, for sure.
Yeah.
And you can't blame anybody for that. Like, that's just natural human behavior.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We do it every day.
Right.
We do it every day. We do it with our clients. We do it with our kids, our coaches, our, people that we just meet in the street, It's, but that's part of the human experience, I think.
Yeah. So
we here now.
We here now for sure. So with you, getting into the sports world, right? You started out at Woodland Hills, finished up at Central Catholic, went on to Pitt. Whenever you went to Pitt initially, did you know that you wanted to work with athletes?
So it's funny that you say that, but that's interesting. You remembered my whole. So I'm gonna put this coffee down for a minute. I didn't know I wanted to be a lawyer until I was halfway through law school already, and. I took a class. One of my dad's good friends who was in his wedding. He was a professor at Pitt, a political science professor, and I took maybe 3 or 4 of his classes while I was in Pitt. And the deadline was slowly approaching. What do you want to do with your career? What do you want to do when college is over? Hey, Dad, I don't know what to do. He says, why don't you go ask your professor? I mean, He's been there for 3 or 4 of your classes. He's read all of your homework. He knows your work ethic. You have conversations with him about life, about the concepts that he's teaching. I said, okay. So I sat down with the guy, and at some point in the conversation, I'm a Virgo, so I'm a jack of all trades, but I'm a master at none. Mm-hmm. And I go to him and I say, I'm not sure what I want to do with my life. And he says, well, with a political science degree, you could either teach or you can go to law school. or you could just enter the workforce. And he's like, I think you'd be a pretty good lawyer. I said, okay, I'm going to be a lawyer. Just because you said so, I'm going to become a lawyer. So, I went to law school, and then, I'm halfway through law school, and I'm saying to myself, I don't really know that this is for me, right? They change the way that you look at the world. Mm-hmm. Everything has a pro and a con, a risk and a reward. You have to kind of analyze thoughts and actions, decision making. Just became a lawyer, and very happy to have become a lawyer, because it took me a couple times to pass the bar exam, mm-hmm. which was difficult. But I became a lawyer at 27, and then started out with a firm, and then maybe about half a year into it, I watched Jerry Maguire. For the 15th or the 16th time at that point. And I combined that with an interview that I watched. A very prominent NFL agent named Joel Siegel gave an interview. Actually, it was more of like a lecture at the Villanova Law School with a guy named Andrew Brandt. You can find it on YouTube, I think. And he's just entertaining questions from the class about what it's like to be a sports agent. What do you do on a day-to-day basis? And I just remember this guy was so cool and so calm about how he went through his day-to-day life for managing his clients' careers. If it was a contract he had to negotiate, or an endorsement that he needed to get, or something in the home or in the community that he needed to add value to, or at least connect the dots between what they have to what they want, I just said to myself, wow. And I'll never forget, he ends this interview, and somebody says, why do you want to be a sports agent? And he said, I thought it would be a really cool life. Mm-hmm. And I said to myself, I think this would be a really cool life. Right. I just got really lucky. I was dumb, and I was lucky at the same time to just kind of realize that my academic background, my personality traits, my people skills, my passion, they all kind of just came to a pinpoint in this career. And I could still be a lawyer, I could still be an agent, kind of at the same time. Mm-hmm. But it's been fantastic ever since. I'm helping people optimize their potential. I'm helping people dig deep into their souls and dig deep into their sort of their vulnerability when they come out for marketing opportunities. They need to present themselves to the community as somebody that the businesses want to work with. Show themselves in a very personable way where you're not just a player that scores touchdowns. You're not just a player that dunks the basketball. You have real hobbies, you have real interests, and you have real stakes in the communities where you're from or where you're playing. And they also have charitable interests that they want to give back. They want to build YMCAs, they want to build playgrounds, they want to donate money to schools or buy kids shoes. I mean, it's the amount of heart and soul that 100% of my clients have, really comes out in their work. But you have to kind of, as the agent, you have to let them know that it's okay to bring this stuff out. And in fact, it's going to be more beneficial for you to talk about these things, naturally, so that you can get deals and people do buy into you as people. Yeah, absolutely. So with that law firm that you worked for, from whenever you started there, you did, your lawyer business for however amount of time, but then you started like a sports and entertainment leg in that firm, right? Sure. What made you do that? So the firm was actually already doing some contract law for, I always tell people, I say you can't just become a lawyer in sports. You have to be a lawyer in something else, as that something else relates to sports. So the contract review, they had a client that was in the movie business here in Pittsburgh. So they were reviewing, actors' agreements. If bands were to come in and perform, they would do the performance agreements. Leases for Netflix to come in and lease, this space at a warehouse or at a movie studio. They would draw up the contracts for intellectual properties, for royalties, how everything is split between, when money comes in, how does it work? So I did that for maybe about a year, and then they had this division that they called it was really loose. It wasn't really branded at the time. It was just an entertainment arm of the law firm. So I said, look, let's become sports agents. I'll figure it out. We'll start it from the ground up, and we'll really make this thing a thing in Pittsburgh. At that time, I mean, there were probably only one or two agents at the time. You had Ralph Sindrich that was kind of on the way out, retiring, and then you have Steve Rich, who was Mario Lemieux's agent. Okay. And so he was doing a lot of the hockey stuff. But we thought it was a good opportunity to really leave our footprints in the community. It's something that we were already good at doing, and we thought that it would be fun to do as well. So we started it, SLG Sports and Entertainment, which is what it was called, which was a subdivision of the law firm that I worked at, which was Summer Law Group. And I was there for about 4 years, and we had an inordinary amount of success that we probably shouldn't have had at that point. So we thought that we were doing something right. And then at the time, actually, I don't know how much I could say. I decided to go on my own. And all my clients came with me and just did Prozone, and I've been doing it for about 5 years now.
So whenever you left the Summer Law Firm, mm-hmm. and you created your own entity, mm-hmm. how did you convince your clients to say, listen, this is what I'm doing, come with me instead of staying with this already established firm?
Yeah, so they have the opportunity in the law. Whenever a lawyer leaves a law firm, the law firm and the lawyer have to send out a joint letter saying, hey, we're parting ways, and then leave it up to the client to decide what they want to do. Mm-hmm. So I did it. They just all said, hey, we're going to come with you.
It's comfortable with you.
Yeah. And some legal clients stayed with the firm. Not all legal clients came with me that I had been working on their papers, but all the sports clients came with me.
So talk about the power of relationship there, right? Because there was something in you that they trusted more than the overarching firm that represented them. Mm-hmm. How did you establish that relationship, and how important are relationships in terms of, I guess, life? Yeah,
it was kind of by default because I was the only agent at the firm. So it was kind of by default that they had to like me, right? Yeah. But I love my guys, man. I love all of them, and watching them grow and being just a small part of their success, means a lot to me. Relationships are important. You spend a lot of time with your clients, especially in sports, a lot of time with them. You talk about, strategy, you talk about those parts of their personality that they want to shine a little bit more. You talk about their desires versus what their needs are. You talk about money, you talk about starting a family, you talk about graduating, going back to school, injuries, surgeries, taxes, crisis management. I mean, there's so much things that I've seen happen to my clients. You wouldn't believe that these things. You'd probably hear stories and you'd say, oh, I heard about this person, this bad thing happening here. But so I manage some of the social media accounts for my clients, and I see some of the Instagram messages that they get, some of the conversations that are attempting to start with them. I know where it's going, and I, obviously bring it to their attention that this is happening because they have to focus on their craft. I mean, in order for our relationship to work, they need to work on playing football, work on playing basketball, work on playing soccer. I have a wrestler in the WWE now. Work on being a wrestler, and let me do everything that you have to do that you can't do. Because if you spend your time doing this stuff, you're never going to be able to optimize, and have the career and the life that you want to have in your craft. So relationships, like I said, I love my guys, but I've used this phrase so many times, like over the years, like I just am the right combination of dumb and kind that people are willing to listen, and people are also willing to listen to me because I don't think that they believe that I don't have a hidden agenda. Right. So it's very calming for them to recognize that and to spill the beans, or to tell me they'll tell me everything. They'll tell me who started the Chicago fire. If they realize that I'm not there for malicious purposes.
Right.
Yeah. So relationships do go a long way. The Pittsburgh connection goes a long way. I remember the first NFL Combine that I went to. I'm eavesdropping in a conversation over here, and Pittsburgh, you know, you can hear the chatter. I'm from here. And so I just slide in and I say, hey, I'm from Pittsburgh too. Start shaking everybody's hand. And they're like, who is this guy? Where did he come from? And, you know, after maybe 10 seconds of awkwardness, you know, they realize that I'm, you know, new to the game and I just want to be friendly and meet people. And so I remember some of those people, this was at the Lock Miller's bar in Indianapolis at the NFL Combine. Some of those people that were in that circle are some of my best friends in the industry at this point.
Is that right?
Yeah. Scouts, former coaches, former agents, like some of the best people that I've been able to rely on for advice when I was younger. They were able to kind of give me, this is the do, this is the don't, you know, this is what's important, this is what's not, say this, don't say this. Mm-hmm. So now, you know, I was able to use their influence and their wisdom to kind of craft with my own flair, you know, how I want to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Talking about the Combine, 2020, whenever there was no pro days happening,
Mm-hmm.
is there, you established like an opportunity for local students to perform.
Yeah.
How did you pull that off?
Right.
Illegally. Well, I guess that was still a gray area, right? Like, we weren't allowed outside. We weren't allowed to get into groups outside, right? And if we did, we had to get permission. Everybody had to be 6 feet apart. I had a couple guys that were in the local area. I had one guy that missed his, or he was garnering some more. So he came out in 2019, went to Steelers rookie minicamp, pulled his quad, got cut. But he was still good enough because there was some CFL interest at that time. He was a good enough player, and he was in Maryland at the time. And I had Aaron Matthews from Pitt, wide receiver, and I said, these guys deserve to have a pro day. If they don't have a pro day, they may not get the opportunity that they deserve. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm just gonna have a pro day, right? I'm gonna find a former college scout or a pro scout to do the times, do the height, do the weight. I'm gonna find a gym that they're gonna be able to do the bench press, that they're gonna be able to broad jump, vert jump. I'm gonna find a partner in this thing to kind of help me, take on the liability or the risk with it, and make sure we all don't get arrested. But it was fantastic. I sent out a blast email to all of the agents also that were representing players in the community. That I had guys show up from Kutztown University.
Oh, wow.
And Westchester. Who else? A lot on the east side of the state. Yeah. Temple. They showed up because their schools weren't having a pro day. And they said, hey, if this guy's having it, whatever, I'll register and I'll show up as well. We had about 15 guys show up, all from either that draft class or from the previous draft class that needed to update the teams. Like, hey, I'm still in shape.
Right.
I understand we're in COVID, but I worked hard, and you guys need to see that. I had a camera guy come down so he could make a video for all the guys running the 40, doing the L drill, the short shuttle. We made little combine videos for everybody, little pro day videos. It showed them getting measured, height, weight, hand, and a local member of the media found out about it, and he called me. And this is one of my good friends in the media to this day. I'm not going to give you his name. He called me and he said, "Hey, I heard you're doing a pro day," and I said, "Wow, okay, so that's interesting. You found out about it. Great. Yeah, if you want to tell a story on it, great, but you have to wait until we're done with it to tell the story, so that I don't have the police showing up and say, hey, break this up. What are you guys doing? Are you 6 feet apart? What's going on here?" So, actually, I think that there was an article written about it. So yeah, it's Jerry DePaula from the trip, and I said, Jerry, I'll give you everything you need to know for the story. Just let me do it first, and I'll give you everything afterwards. But it was fantastic. The guys got all their professional measurements done. We invited Joe Butler, who's a college and former pro scout, down to do all the times, do all the, coach them through the drills. I think everybody had a great day. Yeah, it was a good day.
So, talking about student athletes, now since we're on that topic, the biggest conversation around student athletes and NIL and sports, right? The name, image, and likeness piece. Can you explain to us what name, image, and likeness actually is?
Sure. I could use 15 different phrases to describe what it means. Name, image, and likeness is the law and policy that says that student athletes are now able to earn compensation in either cash or in kind, services or goods, for the use of their name, image, and likeness. They're able to start their own brands, they're able to start businesses, they're able to do endorsements, they're able to do paid appearances, they're able to sign autographs and memorabilia, they're able to earn fair market value, at least in Pennsylvania it's fair market value, for the use of their name, image, and likeness to a third party.
Right. So what is the most important thing right now that student athletes should be doing in order to capitalize on being able to earn from their name, image, and likeness?
I think they should look in the mirror and they should ask themselves who they are. Companies and brands, especially the local companies that aren't, the national or international companies, they want student athletes to be themselves. They want them to enjoy the products. So I don't really enjoy Dunkin' Donuts. I enjoy Starbucks coffee.
I like Dunkin', by the way.
But if Dunkin' Donuts would like a student athlete to promote their products, maybe that's worth something to me to say to myself, hey, would I like to get paid to drink a Dunkin' Donuts coffee even though I'm a Starbucks kind of guy? Is the price worth it? Is my brand worth it? Do I want people now in the community to think that I'm gung-ho for Dunkin' Donuts when really I'm not? So the most important thing that I would ask them to do is realize who they are. Realize it, recognize it, and wear it on their sleeves. If they play the piano, start putting out content that you play the piano. If they like to tell jokes or they want to be a stand-up comedian, put out some, videos or some reels about you telling jokes, looking in the mirror, making faces, whatever it is. If there's something that they have a very unique idea that could be protected intellectually, talk to a lawyer about it. If they want to start a business, if they want to give back to the community in some way, if they want to fundraise to raise awareness for a particular disease or a particular movement or cause, put that out there. Create content, put that out in the stream, in the multimedia, so that a potential owner of a company that would like to do a deal with you realizes that they also share those same values. And I hate this word, but the synergy that's created between somebody seeing a future maybe poster boy or poster child for their product to push their service or their business, it's almost like a handshake being done through the radio waves or through the internet waves. It's understood. So, I had a client that was very into fashion, and he wanted to really explore the fabrics. He wanted to explore how they're manufactured, the different kinds of combinations of colors and accessories that you can use. So we did a deal with Joseph Orlando to make him a custom suit. So he went through the whole process with them. He designed his own suit, the colors, the fabrics, the designers, the whole ensemble, and he wore it for ACC Media Day, and that was an NIL deal that we did. That was him remaining true to himself, while also doing a deal with a local business in the community that not only supports the program, but now has a poster boy for their business that believes in what they're doing, instead of just paying somebody to say, hey, say this when the camera's on you.
Sure.
Here's $500.
Absolutely.
So that's what I would tell guys. But to some people, maybe not a lot of people, but some people, the money's all that matters.
Right.
Wear this turtleneck and scream happy birthday to this person. Here's $500. Okay, but. I don't like doing things that way, but to some people, if that's what they want to do, I'll make it happen.
Can you talk about, the difference between college and high school NIL, if there is a difference?
What I saw in the policy, and this is just a PIAA policy, so this is just Pennsylvania. what I saw was that they can do at the high school level that everything that you can do at the college level. So there's things that you're allowed to do, there's things that you're not allowed to do. There is a number in there though that they have capped it at. It looks like it's around $1,000.
Okay,
but I haven't gotten too deep into the high school NIL stuff because I'm not sure if I'm going to do it.
Right. Okay.
I think that there's. I think I'm going to let other people kind of do it and watch and see how it's responded to in the public eye. See how it's because some deals could go really well or they could go really badly. And most high school students at this point are under 18. So you have to get parental consent to sign all these contracts. But I have seen deals with agents that will sign a contract with the school as opposed to an individual athlete that's under 18. So if you sign the contract with the school, then it's up to the school's discretion as to who they want to, how they want the NIL deals to go. But I'm not as versed in the high school stuff as I am in the college stuff.
Gotcha.
But still, they're not allowed to do endorsements with tobacco products or gambling products or alcohol or prescription drugs. So all the things that you're not allowed to do at the college level, you're still not allowed to do at the high school
Now,
level.
was there something in your little bit of indulgement into it, stating, you transfer for athletic reasons? Is there anything in there saying that this guy, say I'm over here, I have deep pockets, I want you to play for that school, I'm gonna pay you as an NIL deal? Is there any penalty for that or anything of this?
Yeah, no pay for play.
No pay.
There's no pay for play anywhere in the country.
Okay.
They have to put that into the law. But people are not naive, and I believe that those things still happen.
Right.
But in order for everybody to be politically correct and to protect their own butts, they have to put that in the law that says there is no pay for play. I think that we're all old enough and have been through it enough to know that stuff still happens.
Right.
And they've figured out the ways for them to not get caught, and they figured out the ways for them to do it with tact, maybe, or with some class. Phone calls aren't recorded. They're not, so anything can happen in a phone call, unless the FBI is listening. But what I think happens is that a coach will get on the phone with or a recruiter, whoever, or a booster. I'm sorry, not a booster. We'll get on the phone with a mother or a student athlete or a representative of the student athlete's family, and they'll say, "We'd love for you to come to our school. We have some really great academic programs here. We have a fantastic football team. We're building some momentum in the NIL world. We've figured it out. We've done this kind of deal with this kind of player, this kind of deal with this kind of player." And then the point is made over the phone in that kind of conversation. The point is made. So nobody has to kind of walk on unethical grounds or feel guilty that they phrased something the way that they did, and the point is made. But these NIL deals go bad as well. I don't know if you saw the high school player at Florida, the quarterback at Florida, walked away from a $14 million NIL deal.
I didn't see that.
I don't know if he walked away from it, but
they offered him a $14 million NIL deal,
Florida.
but then whenever he signed his in LI, they told him that it's
going to be have to put on hold or something.
like
that.
site kind of type thing. So they were able to let him get out of his national letter of intent.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
I think
Arizona State.
Did he go to Arizona State?
He went to Arizona State because his dad played there. But when you're 18 years old and somebody's offering you $14 million, I mean, if you want me to do backflips in your backyard wearing peanut butter, I'll do it. For $14 million. But these are legitimate contracts. These are 7, 15, 20-page contracts that have real consequences if one side doesn't uphold their end of the deal. So when we're talking about $14 million, the way that I saw somebody on Bleacher Report or on Twitter, a reporter got close to the information and posted what the deal looked like. It was the kid was going to be paid maybe $260,000 per month for every month that he was at the school. What I think happened, and this is a 4-year deal. It was a 4-year deal that was going to pay him $3 million every year. But if you're one of the highest rated high school players in the country, you may not be prepared to spend all 4 years at the college. So why would I enter into an NIL deal that for 4 years when I may be gone after year 3?
Right.
Then what happens to that fourth year of $3 million that I was guaranteed or promised or owed? If that's a lot of money to say, hey, I'm probably going to take my chances in the NFL or go do something else. But the contract hasn't been released yet, so we don't know what it looked like. We can all just speculate and conjecture as to what we thought it would have been. But doing as many deals as I have done, I think that that's probably what happened. He signed and the first payment was due on the first of the month or something like that, and they said, hey, we can't give it to you until the 5th of the month. And he said, that's not what we agreed to.
Right.
I'm out.
That's crazy.
Something like that probably happened.
So what's your process in terms of NIL from like start to finish with your clients? How does your work look?
I find a good player. I find a good player that I think has some marketability, either if it's because they're a good player or it's because they have something else that they offer the world. And I get coffee with them, and I meet with them, and I sit down and I talk to them, and I ask some unique kind of questions that gets me to the point where I can hear what they say and then use my own experiences and wherewithal to project and propose a marketing plan for them. And I said, this is probably your target audience. This is probably what your total net worth is and valuability is within the marketing world. This is what I think you could probably make. These are who our target brands are for partnerships that I think that you can go to that will listen and hopefully they understand it. If they don't understand it or they think I'm full of it, I probably won't hear back from them. But the ones that do, I think, really get a lot out of it. Right. They're able to kind of be themselves, and this is a lot of feedback that I get from parents. Is they'll call me and they'll say, our son was never this, outgoing. He was never so comfortable, talking about this or being in front of a camera or being in a hospital or being around animals or being around children. It's, we thank you for bringing that out of them, letting them come out of their shell. But setting appropriate expectations, I think, is super, super important because everybody thinks that they're entitled to a $100,000 deal or $1 million deal, and you just have to show them, why they're not, but show them what they are capable of. And say if they're only able to get a $5,000 deal, then you show them this is how we get the $5,000 deal. Do you want it or not? Do you want me to go to work or not? I think that it's rewarding for them to come out of their shell and show the world that they're not just an athlete, that they do have values, that they have beliefs, that they have added value to their communities at large, to themselves for their own personal growth, while they're growing their individual careers.
Right. So what's your process now once you find the athlete, what's your process now with the companies that they partner with?
Well, we go straight to the company and we say, this is our client. This is what we believe they're worth. This is how we think they can help you. Do you also see it that way? Mm-hmm. But we like to put it to them on a silver platter. Not selling them anything, but just so that the level of communication is a little bit higher, and they know that we've done our research and our homework to make sure that we're not wasting anybody's time. Right. I think that that's super important, is that you don't just cold call everybody and say, this is our client, he's great, this is what he does. No, this is why we think we would like to work with you, and this is why we hope you would like to work with us. This is the kind of traffic we think that they can drive to your website or to your social media accounts or to your store, people to walk in. This is who we believe are your customers, your demographic that we think are buying your products, are using your services, are interested in what content you're putting out on social media. So, because of who we know our clients are, the synergy is just there, and we hope it makes business sense for you as much as it makes business sense for us.
Right.
Now you got your own research team that looks at the data and everything that you present to the company?
Yeah, we do. We have, I think, anywhere between 8 and 12 interns. We have some interns that have been with me for, now they're no longer interns, but some guys that have been with me for 3 years now that have kind of taken on directorship roles. But the schools in the city they all have one kind of program or academic course that the students are pursuing that are relevant to NIL.
Okay.
So I'm in touch with all the deans at the business schools and the undergraduate schools, and I just say, hey, this is what we're doing in the upcoming calendar year. This is who we could be potentially looking for interns. If you have any interest in students, please pass this information along. And every week, I'll have somebody email me or email the website, once they see it and say, I love what you guys are doing. I would like to have a career in this one day. Here's my resume. How can I help? How can I get involved? Because I'd like to learn about what you're doing. So that from 3 years ago to only having maybe 1 or 2 interns, it's grown to maybe 8 to 12 now. And a lot of them, we started a basketball division, we started a baseball division. We're doing football. I'm representing a volleyball player now. We're representing a lot more women now. And it's just really, it's wonderful because they lighten the load, having the interns, but it's also showing them different areas of the sports industry that they could have a career in one day. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship. I love all my interns. They are rock stars. And they do the analytics on the Instagram posts, on engagement, on followers, on hashtags, on sponsored ads, on the Chamber of Commerce. They'll get the list of all the businesses that just started. We like to work with startup companies because if they're trying to get more people in their doors, there's a way that we can help with our student athlete clients. Absolutely. That we represent.
What's your favorite deal that you've done so far?
That Joseph Orlando deal was so cool.
Yeah.
I've also done a trading card deal with 3 or 4 of my clients. That was pretty cool. The trading card deals were pretty cool because I get to see them in pain, because they have to sign 10,000 autographs for the trading cards, and they're complaining, and but the money's worth it to them. So they'll sign 10 or 15,000 trading cards.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Sitting there signing 10,000 cards.
We did a big 33 game, though. That's how we did it.
Yeah, but
we did 10,000.
Yeah, no, there's not 10,000 people that want your signature.
It was like 20.
Yeah, that was a cool one. And then we did the Nike youth football camp when Nike came. It was actually Gateway High School.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did the Nike youth football camp. That was a lot of fun. My client was in that, Servastier Dennis. He was a coach for that, and to watch him coach the kids, because he won't tell you this, but he doesn't like kids. Don't put this in the interview, the published interview. But it was really cool to watch him be the coach for these kids and teaching them how to do the drills, teaching them how to get faster, how to work together as teammates. That was really rewarding for me personally to watch, and I think to him it was as well, because it was an area that he didn't enjoy exploring. And he didn't. I don't think that he knew that he was going to have as much fun as he did.
Is that right?
And he ended up having a ton of fun after it.
That's dope. That's dope.
Challenged himself.
Yeah, no doubt. So
we've done everything. We've done podcasts. We've done paid appearances to show up in stores and bring people in through the door. Say, hey, we're here. For the next 2 hours. If you want an autograph, come down. Mm-hmm. So they combine it with the promotion that they're doing. They're having a sale. So to get more people to buy the sale, they include one of our athletes to help promote it. We've done NFTs. We've done, we've done everything.
That's dope. I mean, you got to be creative, right? In terms of the things that you're doing with your athletes, because there's so much out there that you can do, and it's like, how do we kind of figure out, how to get into it?
It's changing every day too.
No doubt.
Well, I found that they don't know what they don't know,
right?
And a lot of my clients, they don't have the vulnerability to say that they don't know. Mm-hmm. But when you find the guy that says, "Oh, I never knew about that," that's when I think that I have something to keep showing them that there's more to life and there's more to this world that they need to know about. So until they hear it from me that something exists within a particular industry, especially in NIL, they don't know that they can do it. Right. And there's there's a lot of interesting ways I'm starting to get into it with real estate now. And I'll probably for our next interview, months from now, I'll have some NIL deals done in the real estate world. But that's going to be super, super interesting and helpful. And this term, generational wealth, real estate is the way to kind of make that a reality for these guys.
Absolutely. And we'll have a conversation about that off camera. So you talk about, educating your student athletes on NIL. You talk about educating your interns on the world of sports NIL, but you're also teaching an NIL course in Pitt's Law School.
Yeah.
How did that even come about?
Congrats on that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I actually applied for a different job at Pitt, a different teaching job, which was the law of professional sports. This was about a year and a half ago. They had a vacancy in that, and I didn't get the job, and that's okay. I probably wasn't qualified for it, but I sent in a little PS at the bottom of my email where they said, "Hey, we decided to sign a different professor," and I said, "Thank you, but pay attention to this subject because it's coming down the line: name, image, and likeness. And if you ever decide to teach a course in name, image, and likeness, I would like to teach it. Please let me know when that happens." So a year later. A year later, I get an email from the dean that I was talking to about this law of professional sports class, and he said, "We took your advice. We're having this class. We welcome your application." Okay, so this is the first time I changed my resume in like 5 or 6 years. I'm looking at my resume and I'm saying, "Wow, I worked for these people." And it had been a really long time since I edited my resume, so I had to edit my resume. I had to make a CV, a curriculum vitae, for the first time, and that was a lot of fun because I had to attach all of the articles, all of the video clips or news clips that I was in over the last couple of years to the curriculum vitae, so that they knew that I knew what I was talking about to teach this class. So I sent in my resume, and after maybe a month, I heard back and they said, "Hey, congratulations, you got the job." But I didn't realize how many NI deals I had actually done until I had to tell Pitt how many I had done. So I'm looking back through my notes, through my contracts, through this, and I had done over 35 deals in about a year and a half since its inception. And July 1st, 2021 was when the NCAA said, "You guys can now do NIL." So I think I applied for this job maybe in September or October of 2022. So between a little bit over a year, I'd done over 35 deals for six different athletes. I'm sorry, 6 different states that I'm registered in to be an athlete, for about 10 or 12 different athletes in a couple different sports. But for me, that's my day to day. It's not that I'm keeping track of this stuff. But now that I was asked to keep track of it, going back and looking through it, I'd done a lot. So maybe I am the authority in that space in Pittsburgh. But that was very kind of eye-opening for me because I didn't think that I had done that many deals. Teaching the class the class is called the Law of NIL Deals. And the reason that the class is called the Law of NIL Deals is because you need to understand the law and all different aspects of it in order to do these NIL deals. So there's 3 requirements to be an agent in Pennsylvania. You have to either be licensed as a lawyer in the state, you have to be a financial advisor, and they have their own kind of rules as to what qualifies as a financial advisor in the state, or you have to be a registered athlete agent in the state. They have their application process, they have a background check, they have, you have to get bonded to do it. So I met 2 out of the 3 requirements. So in order to be an agent, you have to be one of those 3. And then you have to have an understanding for client protections. You need to understand that these contracts, yes, I mean, it may be cool for you to do this partnership and do this brand deal, but if you don't understand the contractual restrictions, the options, the art of negotiation, the what's able to be included, what's permitted, what's not permitted, how you can manipulate some of the gray areas that the law allows for, you may be selling your client short. And at the same time, if things go wrong, you want to also make sure that you have their best interests protected legally. And these are really hard, higher level conversations that you have to have with your clients. And usually the clients that are most understanding and that can grasp those concepts are the older ones, which is why I'm kind of staying away from the high school NIL right now, because most parents don't even understand it. But a lot of the Power 5 football players, they have resources that are available to them at the colleges that actually teach them compliance. They teach them, what to look out for. When an agent says this, he's probably lying. This is what's allowed, this is what's not allowed. So the fact that they've been versed just a little bit in that from the school's resources helped me do my job just a little bit easier for them.
Right. So, I mean, that class sounds unbelievable, right? The law of NIL deals, the name of the class. Why'd they even name the class that?
So there were a couple higher level, a Supreme Court case and an appellate court case that paved the way for the NCAA to say, okay, we're fighting a losing battle now, we're done. We're not going to enforce the amateurism, tag anymore. We'll let you guys do whatever you want to do, but we're going to leave it up to the states. So there was the O'Bannon case, the Supreme Court case, and this was a former basketball player at UCLA that maybe 10 or 12 years after he had not played basketball anymore, saw himself in a video game, right? And he says to himself, where's my cut? I didn't give you guys permission to use my name, image, and likeness. Now, they didn't use his name, right? But he was the same height. The player in the basketball game was the same height, the same weight, the same skin color, the same number, the same hairstyle, the same shot, the mannerisms. Everything was the same. So he was like, that's me. Whether you want to say it's me or not is up to you. So he brought an antitrust lawsuit, a class action on behalf of all college football players and basketball players at the time. And he said that the NCAA's restrictions on allowing name, image, and likeness rights are a violation of antitrust law. It's unfair trade. It's unfair competition. You're not letting us do it, but you're allowed to do it. Right? Went all the way to the Supreme Court. Unanimously, they ruled in favor of the basketball player. Okay, so that solves that. The second one was the Alston case. I don't want to get too deep into these cases, but the reason that the reason the class is called the Law of NIL Deals is because, first off, only future lawyers and registered athlete agents can be agents in the NIL world or financial advisors, but they need to understand the law that set this all up in the first place. The fight. What was the fight all about? And once they understand what the fight was all about, they can look into their hearts and into their brains and say, I have value in this area now too. Like, I have the ability to do this and I understand why. But if it weren't for these pioneers before that paved the way, the NCAA was saying to themselves, you guys are amateurs, whether you like it or not. And we're the schools, we're making money, you're not allowed to. That was unfair. So actually a couple states, ever since the O'Bannon decision was made, there are a couple states that already had their laws typed up, ready to roll. And some of them had already gone through their House of Representatives and through their Senate before the NCAA ever made the interim policy on July 1st, 2021. They had their laws already in place in 2019, in 2020. But there was a caveat to each law that said, okay, this law isn't going to be implemented or come into effect until 2023 or 2022, because that's when they predicted that the NCAA was just going to say during that time, okay, we're out, good luck to you with your name, image, and likeness rights. Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Yeah, that's what happened.
I was that lawsuit, that first lawsuit, you ain't get in on that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I remember that. The second one too. I remember.
Yeah, there was a timeline. If you played in college, Division I between 2004 or 2014, it was something like that. You're entitled to something.
I remember the video game. I was on like 2, 3 of them, I think.
Yeah, got a nice little check.
Yeah, for EA Sports.
Yeah.
So everything that you talked about, NIL being, right, the name, image, and likeness, you representing companies and, getting a cut from that. is everything that I love about NIL, right? When NIL started, I said, man, this is unbelievable. Like, student athletes can get paid off their name, image, and likeness. And I was all for it. Now, I think there's been a turn in name, image, and likeness with universities starting, well, not universities, but these separate entities starting these collectives on behalf of the university, where they have donors and boosters just throwing money into a pot and using that just to pay student athletes. Pay for play, call it what you want, but that's what it is, right? What's your take on the collectives in the world of NIL?
I think they're helpful, because these are people that are probably already donating money to the athletic programs, but now they can have the choice to determine, if they wanted to go to a particular player or if they wanted to go to a particular team within the athletic department. They're able to do that now. And it can work as a double-edged sword. It can work to, keep players from entering the transfer portal. You can use it as publicity for deals that you were able to get players to maybe show another player at another school. Like, hey, if I enter the transfer portal and I end up going to this school, maybe I can get an NIL deal that's equivalent to that kind of fair market value, right? The collectives also are good because they're able to kind of live in that gray area that, they're not agents, but maybe they are just connectors. Maybe they just introduce the brand to the player, as opposed to negotiating the deal, as opposed to having a dog in the fight, or a horse in the race, whatever they call it, a dog in the fight. The collective doesn't represent the brand or the player, right? They're just there as this kind of middleman between the brand and the player. And there are other people out there, like there are marketing representatives out there that aren't NIL agents. They just connect the brand to the player and just let them negotiate whatever deal they want. Because they're not allowed to negotiate the deal, but that's neither here nor there. But the collectives, I think, could be really helpful because they actually operate in somewhat of an agent capacity, because they'll choose out which players they want to connect which brands to, and they'll choose which brands to connect the players that the brand wants to each other.
So how do you feel? Because a lot of times with the collectives, that's not happening, right? It's just a pot of money. This is a pot of money that they're like me. I can donate to the collective at Alabama or wherever, and I don't have a brand. I just want players to come to Alabama, right? So I'm just throwing money into a pot so that, like the kid from Texas A&M, they ask him, hey, what do you have to do to get paid to go to Texas A&M? And he says, score touchdowns. You know what I mean? For me, I think that is an area that NILs go and that I don't necessarily agree with. I agree with everything that you talked about during this interview. And, I don't know, I just think the collective piece is getting a little out of hand.
I've seen some of those collectives give out a designated amount to every student on the baseball team.
Like Texas.
Every student on the football team gets exactly this amount of money on the first day of the month, every month, as long as you're a student athlete in this program.
Right.
I've seen it. There's a cap on that, though, because of the Alston case. There's a cap at $5,000. So any player on any team in college football cannot get more than $5,000 in these little, they call them non-cash expenses, non-cash payments to student athletes. So they give them the $5,000, but it's usually in the form of like a meal plan or laptops or just something that they're allowed to have. Yeah.
I think for me, unless you got any other things you want to hit on?
Hit on everything.
I think for me, to wrap it up, thank you for coming on, talking about the world of NIL. I think it's super informative for not only us, not only, businesses, but for student athletes that are looking to enter this world, whether it's high school, since we're in Pennsylvania, or at the college level. What are some words of advice that you have for I guess all student athletes as they are coming up and building their brand? I know you talked about their, being true to yourself, but in terms of work ethic and the actual sport, how it relates to NIL.
Nothing will be given to you. Nobody cares. Work harder. The life will pay you back. The universe will pay you back if you pay yourself. Just really figure out who you are, what you want, and how you think that you can get from what I have to what I want, and connect all the dots in between. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to challenge authorities or things that you've heard, or dive into it. After you hear something happen, Google it. Go to that person's website. Go to this resource and find out if it's true. How does it apply to you? Name, image, and likeness is not going anywhere. It's here for good. Eventually, U.S. Congress is going to come out with a United States NIL so that every state doesn't have their own show, but every state is going to have to follow the same amount of rules, or the same rules. So just figure out how it applies to your life. Is this something that you're going to use to raise awareness for a particular cause or a movement? Is this something that you're going to use to start a business? Is this something that you're going to use to get endorsements from? Are you going to use it to change the world? How are you going to use it? Because now the power is yours. And once they understand that the power is theirs, they're going to have to spend some time and think about it, really. They're going to have to put the video games down. They're going to have to stop, going to silly things and having these distractions that really take away from the ultimate goal, which I'm sure for all these student athletes is to play professionally at their sport. And what, 1% of 1% make it to play professionally, and it was really those people that were outliers that went against the grain. They were the people that didn't go out on the Friday night. They were the people that didn't play video games. They were the people that ate right, that recovered after a workout, that didn't get in trouble. They were the people that really looked people in the eyes, and that they welcomed and they embraced new thoughts to teach them things. The more you see, the less you know. So the fact that people like you exist, the fact that people like Jared exist, the fact that people that I exist, who are pillars within their world that they're eventually going to want to know more about or learn about, come find us, talk to us, because we have not only the life experience but the knowledge within those realms that they're going to need to know themselves one day, to be able to decide how NIL works for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, appreciate all the support since we met. Great interview.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Big dog,
yeah,
man.
thank you guys.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Status Podcast.